Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be taking a look at the Transformers Legacy Evolution Leader Class Prime Universe Skyquake. Let's start off by taking a look at the packaging, and then we'll get into the review. So of course up front we have Transformers on the side, we have Prime Universe Skyquake in white text with a Decepticon symbol, we have the Legacy Evolution logo, a really cool artwork shot of Skyquake in his robot and jet mode. If we do turn to the top, there's another Legacy Evolution logo with a QR code. If you do scan that, it will show his stats. If we do turn to the side, there's two really cool artwork shots, a close-up of Skyquake's face and a close-up of Skyquake in his jet mode. If we do turn to the back, there's several product shots. One of Skyquake in his robot and jet mode. He transforms in 29 steps. There's a product shot of the really cool gimmick that you can actually combine Needle Nose and Skyquake together in the jet mode, which I will show in this review. And the final product shot is his Evo Fusion gimmick with his Gatling gun and his sword. On the final side is the really cool Legacy Evolution artwork. So this is half of it. So if you do get another leader class figure and put the boxes together, you can complete the Legacy Evolution packaging. And that is pretty much it for the packaging, so let's now get into the review. So here we have Skyquake in his robot mode. Let's start off by taking a look at the details, starting at the very top with that head sculpt. Really nice gunmetal gray for the entire crest section and face, with some red for the eyes and some green for the main helmet section. There's actually some light piping on the back of the head, so if you do shine light over the top of Skyquake's head, his eyes will illuminate a really cool menacing red. I really do like the shoulder sections with the two different shades of green with some silver at the tip. There's some more gunmetal gray at the bicep and hand with some red at the cuff, with some silver and green at the entire form section. So if you look at the chest and you're wondering why is there no nose cone section, because of course in Transformers Prime with Skyquake and Dreadwing, one of their main key details with the entire nose cone in front of the plane was actually at the chest, but this figure is actually a merge of two different designs of Skyquake, the Prime design and the G1 design. I'm not that familiar with the G1 design, but if you're wondering why the nose cone isn't there, that is the reason why. And I actually kind of like it. It really doesn't bother me that much. Of course, the past few Transformers Prime characters, like Bulkhead and RC, have been pretty stylized and got a lot of slack. Not a lot of people like them, but I think this actually really works. Of all the four Prime figures we've gotten recently from Legacy and Legacy Evolution, this has to be my favorite. That is just my opinion. Of course, design-wise, really like the transparent yellow plastic for the chest. Really classic Decepticon symbol right there with some really nice silver, kind of gunmetal gray with two different shades of green. Overall, really like that. As for, of course, the crotch, mostly done in some silver and gunmetal gray. Huge sections here almost look like armor pieces, which is pretty cool. Some silver, really nice dark green there, and of course the feet overall looking very cool in that dark gray. Moving to the back of the figure, mostly done in some nice really dark green with some red. Love the silver, all the little spikes and fin pieces looking very cool, and not that much hollowness. So of course there's some hollow gaps in the legs, but they're actually filled up by these little pieces here, so that really doesn't bother me that much. And overall that is pretty much it for detail wise. So I do have a few problems with this figure. One being is if you actually do look at the top, there's this huge open gap here. This is actually where the head stores due to transformation. It would have been nice maybe if there was like a panel or a cover piece. It's a bit unfortunate they didn't do anything with that. Another thing is, unfortunately, the shoulder or arm really doesn't actually tab into place. I'll show you. So if you do move this whole shoulder piece out of the way, the arm or shoulder piece really doesn't tab into place. They actually just rely on this piece right here to keep it into place, which isn't my favorite, because especially when posing, it can be very annoying every time you want to move the arm to a certain position. If you want to put the Gatling gun in his hand or a sword, you have to move this panel out of the way. So it would have been nice maybe if there was like a tab or slot or something to actually keep it tabbed into place. The other thing is the legs. So the legs actually have ratchet joints, which is really nice to see because, you know, back in the past few years, most time whenever we get ratchet joints, it would be like Masterpiece or Titan class figures. But we actually have ratchet joints with a leader class, which is pretty cool, but unfortunately, the ratchets are a bit off. So typically, I like to have the legs stored kind of like straight up and down. That's how I put them on the shelf, but the furthest most in ratchet is like this, at a straight angle, and the other one is like straight out, and I really don't like how they just kind of stick straight out like that. That is just my opinion. I could be slightly picky, I don't know. And the final thing, which I think this is kind of everyone's copy, is the wings. So there is actually a slot right there, and there's a tab on this entire hinge section. It's supposed to say tabbing into place, and it will for a good time, but whenever you move out around the figure, as you can see, it just kind of popped down. So if you're wondering why the wings are at an angle, that is the reason why. So those are really my main qualms with the figure. Of course, there is quite a few, but overall, I still really do recommend this figure. As for, of course, articulation, the head can look up and down, side to side. The shoulder, of course, there is actually a hinge at the base and a hinge at this main section here. So if you want to use that, you, of course, can move out of the way whenever you want to pose the figure around with his Gatling gun or sword. Of course, there is a ratchet out. There is a really stiff bicep rotation, a double jointed elbow. There is a full functioning wrist rotation. There is a full functioning waist rotation. I'm just going to move the other arm out of the way. Waist rotation, the leg can kick that far forward, back, out to the side, so full splits. There is a knee bend. and an ankle pivot. And I will show the articulation of the wings in just a second. I'm just going to straighten them up a little bit. I think the only thing that could be a little bit better is probably the ankle. It probably could angle out a little bit more, but other than that, pretty standard for a leader class figure. Just going to move everything back to how it was. Just going to straighten everything up. And as for the back with all the wings, there's actually quite a few hinges, so you can really pose this into some pretty cool dynamic poses. So of course there's a hinge at the tip, at the base, and there's also a hinge at these little mini wings. But that is it for articulation. So now for accessories, he does come with actually two really good ones. So the first being is his Gatling gun. I think this looks really cool in my opinion. Of course, his main iconic weapon from the Transformers Prime series. People have said it's kind of boring or bland, like it could use more paint apps, but I think it was kind of a gunmetal gray, kind of silvery color. I guess they could have had a few silver patches here and there, but the sculpt work is amazing. It's actually Blast Beast compatible. There's a little post right there, all the little mini barrels. This actually is a handle used for, of course, storing it in his hand, which I'll show in just a second. And overall, a really cool looking accessory. This whole empty gap is actually for the Evo Fusion gimmick, which I'll show in just a second. And overall, an amazing accessory in my opinion. So I do hope probably we will be getting his twin brother Dreadwing, which I'm assuming will just be the exact same mold for the figure wise, just heavy repaints, the black kind of dark blue and black silver redeco. I'm assuming I think it's going to be like in wave 3 of Legacy Evolution or something like that, which I am looking forward to. But I hope they resculpt his gun, because I'm pretty sure in the Transformers Prime series his was more of a Gatling gun, but Dreadwing was more of a single barreled kind of cannon blaster. So hopefully they have the budget to do it. I'm assuming they probably won't to save money, but again, we'll just have to wait and see. As for his next accessory, it's a sword, which I do have to say, in the show, he actually never really used a sword. His main one weapon was just the Gatling gun, so I think it's okay. They probably just included this so they can later on with Dreadwing just to repaint it silver. But overall, I guess it's okay. And you can store this in his hand. It kind of works like the Legacy G2 Laser Optimus Prime. You know, there's a little tab and it just fits right in a little slot in his hand, so you can just store it just like that, just plugging that in his hands. And there we have Skyquake with his sword, and I think that overall looks very cool. But for his Evo Fusion gimmick, you can just take this out of his hands, and then what you're going to want to do is just kind of make sure, yeah, there we go. You can fold this blade up just like that, and then you can actually store this in the bottom to kind of act as ammo. So you're going to want to have this entire ridge section hinged or facing down into the weapon, so it folds in like that, and it kind of acts as the ammo if you want to. I think it's an okay gimmick. I think there's been better, but still overall pretty cool. I'm actually really glad there's a space to store it. I would have really liked maybe if you could have stored like the sword on the back, like where the wings are. I think that would have been pretty cool, but unfortunately, from what I know, there is no way of doing that. But of course, the main gimmick and main ways you can store the huge Gatling gun in his hands, which I think is pretty cool. So you just want to fold out this entire handle section, use that ball joint and rotate it around. So I'm going to try and put him in a pose. It is kind of hard to do it on camera because it's a bit fiddly sometimes, so bear with me. Of course, off cam, I could do much more of a dynamic, crazy pose, and I'll make sure to put some pictures in the beginning intro. If you want to see some, make sure not to skip that. So what you're going to want to do is get this post right here. This is going to go to the underside of the hand on this arm, and this one is going to go to the front side of the hand. So just peg that into place. Just make sure you have a good grip. That'll just plug in there like that, and you can move the shoulder sections out of the way just so you can get in a really cool dynamic pose. And then, of course, this one will just go in this hand like that. There we go. And then just straighten it up. Sometimes, again, it takes a few tries to get it good. There we go. And then just kind of straighten up. And then you can put the panels back. Since, of course, the shoulder is slightly angled, you can't perfectly put the shoulder panels on, but that's probably the best I can do at this time. Again, I'm recording right now, so I don't want to spend that much time putting him in a crazy pose. Again, off cam, I could do such a better pose, but that overall looks very cool in my opinion. So now for some comparisons. Here he is with Bulkhead. And as you can see, Skyquake is pretty good. He's a pretty big size figure because, you know, these days recently with Legacy, you know, Kingdom, most Voyagers and Leaders would be pretty close to the same size. But of course, he's a Voyager, this is a Leader, so there is a big size change here. So overall, looking very cool. Here he is with another fellow Prime Decepticon. Here he is with Knockout. And I really do hope to see, maybe in Legacy or Evolution or maybe the wave after, hopefully we'll be able to see some more Prime characters like Megatron, Soundwave, Starscream. That would be so awesome to have all of the Season 1 bots of Decepticons and Autobots together. And for another comparison, here he is with RC. Overall looking very cool. And for one final comparison, I thought I'd do another Legacy Evolution Wave 2. Here he is with Metal Hawk. And they look quite cool next to each other. And that is pretty much it for comparisons and the robot mode. So let's now get down to transformation into his Jet Alt mode. Now for transformation, what you're going to want to do is go to the legs. You can actually collapse the feet in just like that. You can also go to the back, get these entire sections here, just flip these out. There is a tab and slot, and then you're just going to flip these forward just like that. And how these tab into place is there is a tab right there, and there is a slot right there. And that's just going to tab into place just like that. Same on the other leg. Just tab into place just like that. And then what you're going to do is go to the form, open up this entire panel here, fold this back, flip in the hands, and then do the same thing on the other arm. Just open up that panel, fold it all the way back, flip in the hands. You can get these entire shoulder sections. These will flip back as well. And there's also the head. It's on a slider joint. You're going to slide it back. And then get the arm. There is, of course, that double jointed elbow bend. You're going to fold it up and fold it up just like that. And there we go. Then what you're going to want to do is untab the entire torso from the crotch. So just untab that like that. And this is also on a slider joint as well. So you're going to slide that up. And how this was tabbed into place is there is tabs on the crotch or waist, and there are slots right there. And then what you're going to do is go to the front, make sure the arms are hinged out just to get some added clearance. We're going to go to the back of the figure, split the entire wing assembly in half like this. We're also going to then push the entire nose cone section up from the back like that. And this is just going to cover up the entire robot mode head. But first, get these entire shoulder sections, just flip these forward and out of the way. This is just going to fold over just like that. And there we go. You can then get the nose cone, flip that up, fold in the landing gear, sometimes that comes out, and there we go. Then you're going to get the waist, rotate this to the side, go to the back of the figure. I'm actually going to angle the camera up so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. And these entire wing sections, there is a hinge right here. This is going to rotate completely forward just like that. Just rotate it forward just like that. And then you can get the waist and straighten out again. Then get these sections here. Rotate these around, and then as you can see there is some tabs and slots, and all of that is going to tab together just like that. There we go. And then what you're going to do is go to the underside. Your arms will tab into place. There is tabs here and slots there, and those will tab into place just like that. And that actually makes another tab, and there is a slot right there, and then you're just going to push all this down and into place, just like that. We can actually go to the front, bring these sections in using that hinge, and we actually have pretty much the entire front of the jets already complete. Now for the legs, which this part actually can be a bit tricky. So you're actually going to want to have this entire ratchet, you're going to want to rotate it all the way up like that. Keep rotating it up, then you can get the leg, rotate this back to how it was. Again, a bit tricky to only rotate just the ratchets because it can sometimes get in the way. And then you can actually rotate this entire, or collapse the entire leg all the way up. So there is a tab right there, and there is a slot on the top right here. And that's just going to tab into place. And if you did miss it the first time, again, it's kind of wonky. I'm going to show it again on this leg. So you're going to want to get this entire gray section in here. You're going to want to only rotate that up. So it's a bit hard sometimes to just only rotate that separate piece. So just make sure that's all the way up. A bit difficult sometimes. And then you can collapse the leg up like this. So the same thing, there is a tab on the wing and a slot on the leg, and that will just tab into place And unfortunately, the other one came untabbed. Tab that in. And for the last few touches, just angle the wings however you wish. And there we have Skyquake in his jet mode. Overall looking very, very cool. I'm just going to angle the camera down just a tad bit. And let's take a look at the details. Here we have Skyquake in his jet mode. Let's start off by taking a look at the details, starting at the very front with that nose cone. Really nice transparent orange plastic for the entire nose cone with some silver. We're all looking very cool with some nice dark green. I really do like all the little spikes and fins sticking out, looking very cool. Some more silver and green there. Really like that transparent orange right there. Really cool like engine kind of turbine section with some nice gunmetal gray and silver, like that dark red there. All the little spikes just look super cool and menacing. Some more spikes back here done in that dark green and red. And of course we actually have 3 boosters, which looks super cool. Huge gunmetal gray booster right here, 2 ones right here. This is unfortunately not blast beast compatible, these 2 are. But it's overall a very impressive, really big looking jet mode. As for features and of course accessory storage, the first being he actually does have some landing gear. Unfortunately, they're not real rolling wheels. They're just sculpted to look like that, but you just flip these out from the legs and the fronts, and they're just kind of landing gear just to prop it up a little bit. I think that looks quite cool. As for accessory storage, if we do flip to the bottom of the figure, we do use that huge port right there, and there is a peg right here that will just plug right into place just like that. Can be a bit hard. There we go. And there we have the weapon storage. So he does have his huge giant Gatling gun stored on the bottom, which I think looks pretty cool. There we go. Flying into battle with that. So that is pretty much it for features and accessory storage. Now for one quick jet mode comparison, here he is with needle nose. So there is a feature that I will show in just a second. You can actually combine both jets. I'm not really sure what reference that is to. Let me know in the comment section down below. Not really that familiar with it, but I will show it. And jet mode wise, as you can see, he is a very big jet. He is decently sized. Of course, needle nose is a deluxe class figure, and overall looking pretty cool next to each other. So now for the combination, I'm actually going to take the accessory off and close up the landing gear just to make it a little bit easier. So let me just take that off and close up the landing gear just so they're out of the way. And what you're going to do is fold these little fin pieces down, and there is these 2 tabs right here, and there is these 2 slots right here. I'm just going to tab that into place just like that, and just get that into place, just to line that up. Can be a bit hard, and there we go. Kind of odd. Again, I'm not really sure what reference this is to. It's cool, I guess. I don't think I'll be probably using this feature that much. I guess it's okay. It's cool. Definitely very secure. It was quite hard to get on that tab, but there we have the needle nose Skyquake feature. And I'm just going to take that off because it's okay. It's okay. And that is pretty much it for Skyquake's jet modes. Let's now get down to the final thoughts. Now for the final thoughts for the Transformers Legacy Evolution Wave 2 Leader Class Prime Universe Skyquake. I think overall this figure is pretty good. Starting in the remote mode, overall articulation is pretty good. Of course, there's an ankle pit, actually really nice to see. There's a wrist rotation, double jointed elbows. Of course, the bicep swivel is just so tight on my copy. I'm not really sure why, but everything is pretty standard for a Leader Class figure. No complaints there. I guess if I were being nitpicky, I guess the ankle pivot could be a little bit better of articulation, a bit of a better angling out. But other than that, I have really no problems with that. The design of the figure is actually really cool. Love the head sculpt, all the gunmetal gray, the silver, the really dark green and red. Just looks so cool. He's very chunky, very imposing. Actually a very big figure because, you know, in past years and past, Leader Class figures, it's been kind of a tendency to have the Leader Class pretty close to Voyager size. And this one is nowhere near that. I did a comparison with Voyager class Bulkhead, and he is almost towers over that figure. He is very big. So really nice to see that they're kind of upping the size with some of these figures. It kind of almost makes me think of the Transmetal 2 Dragon Megatron. That one is definitely more to the Leader Class standard that we're used to, which is really nice to see. As for accessories, he does come with his Gatling gun, which is so cool. Probably one of my favorite accessories from the past few figures I've gotten. He also does come with a sword, which I'm kind of mixed about because in the show, he never even used a sword. So would I have rather gotten something else? Probably. I actually had a thought maybe they could have included like a custom blaster piece to attach to the Gatling gun so you could just rain fire on the Autobots. That would just be so cool. And, they could have just included the sword in later with Dreadwing. They could have, scrapped the blaster piece with that figure and just included his sword because that was his main gimmick. I also also do really hope with Dreadwing, it's not really official that we're getting a Dreadwing. It's probably going to happen because they were twin brothers. All they need to do is just repaint the figure in more of a dark blue and black and silver color, and that's it. I also do hope with that figure, their Gatling guns were quite different in size and sculpt in the show. I'm going off by the show, not really off by the toy, but in the show, his Skyquake was more of a Gatling gun, Dreadwing was more of kind of a single-barreled cannon, and again, he had a silver sword. So hopefully they do a few sculpting changes with an accessory. I'm hoping for that. Do I expect them to do it? Probably not, because it will save them money if they just keep it the same. I do have a few complaints though, like with the huge open gap at the top of the figure. That's where his head stores. It would have been nice if there was like a panel to cover that up. Also, it is a bit disappointing that the shoulders or the arms don't really tab into place into the main body. They just rely on the big shoulder pads to keep into place. And I do like the shoulder pads with the really cool spikes and the two different shades of green and the silver. They do look cool, but I don't really see why they couldn't have just had them tab into place. I do like how you can move them out of the way. They're not really just fixed into place. So you can actually have him holding his Gatling gun with two hands. I did show a pose in this video. Of course, it was kind of on the spot. I could have done a much better one. I'll have some really cool poses in the beginning intro if you want to see some, so make sure not to skip that. And other than that, it's a pretty good figure. Again, the empty gap, and it would have been nice if the arms could have tabbed in, but overall, a pretty cool figure. Now for transformation, it is actually very complex. I really do hope I showed you the best. I really tried to show you the best I could. It's quite complex, kind of messy in some areas, so just let me know how I did in the comment section down below. And it's a really cool looking jet. The jet mode is awesome. It's like 3 huge boosters in the back. Love the gunmetal gray. Love all the fins and spikes and pieces just sticking out. All the silver, the really darker green. I do like the landing gear. Unfortunately, they're not real rolling wheels. They just sculpted to look like wheels, which I guess is okay. I actually really do like it on the turntable right here. That looks quite cool. And of course, you can store the Gatling gun underneath the jets, which I think is pretty cool. And you can, rain fire on the Autobots below. And I do hope we get some more Season 1 Autobots from Transformers Prime, because right now we actually don't have an Optimus or a Bumblebee, so we can't even recreate the scene of Skyquake's death, with Optimus and Bumblebee fighting him. So hopefully, maybe we'll be able to get those two figures, those two characters very soon, maybe in Legacy Evolution or a different wave. I'd say the last complaint I have, which is very minor, it would have been nice maybe if they could have had an option for him to store the sword on the back, or maybe the Gatling gun on the back. I do know there's a few MechTech ports like on the wings, but that's mostly for the jet mode. It would have been nice if there was like a MechTech port like right in the middle of the back, so you can create that really cool kind of effect of the Gatling gun, storing to the side. I don't know, that's just my opinion. Let me know your thoughts on this figure in the comment section down below. Hope you enjoyed this review, and I'll see you next time.